If all of your streaming services were suddenly canceled, how would you feel? Lost, devastated, or unfazed? Okay, this is my foster chihuahua. Her name is Sela, and she's going to be joining us for this video. Today we're going to be discussing physical media, and I know this has been discussed by many other channels and many other videos, but I just had some thoughts come to me recently and I thought we could chat about it. Like many of us, I have a library of DVDs, not as many as some of y'all though, for sure. And I was coming up in high school and college. That's when DVDs were the thing, and people just bought DVDs. You just bought movies because that's how you watched movies. So both my husband and I came up buying DVDs, and we've kept most of those from, you know, the past 20 years or whatever. But about 3 years ago is when I really started getting into exploring cinema, and so since then I have purchased a lot more and been gifted a lot more. So I have a decent sized collection, and for me it's just the natural step, it's the natural next step if I love a movie to buy it. And that probably has to do with my age and just the fact that, you know, if you liked a CD, you would buy it. If you liked a movie, you would buy it, and then you have it, and that's just that's naturally what you do. But it's also partly because I don't think I've ever fully trusted streaming, and I have no desire to become fully dependent on streaming services either. So my friend recently said to me in passing, we were talking, and she was like, yeah, especially because DVDs are getting phased out now. And I was like, what? What is she talking about? But then I remembered, like, I'm talking to, chatting with, following people who buy physical media, and then I had to remind myself, like, a lot of people don't do that and they just stream. So yeah, I'm in kind of this happy bubble of physical media collectors, and I forget that a lot of people just don't think that way, like they don't prioritize it. But I just cannot bring myself to rely solely on streaming, even though things are getting so much better for the cult cinema world. Like, new titles are being added to Tubi and other streaming services on the daily. Things are looking really good for us, but even so, there's so much uncertainty that comes with streaming. As we all know, streaming services can pull a title, take down a title at any given moment, for any reason. I know we have all gone to go click on a film that was just there the other day and it's not available anymore. And I cannot live like that. I mean, if you're like me and you love a movie, you rewatch it a lot. You keep coming back to it. So I need to be able to access it. And what better way than to own it? So I've watched a lot of good videos about the importance of physical media, but I just saw a video by Fanzine Vids, which I'll link the video below, but he was talking about why it's also important to collect physical media because streaming services, they can censor a film and just only upload the censored version. I mean, that's something that I experienced when I tried to watch Giallo in Venice, for example. I watched the full moon version where everything was cut out. And, you know, they could try to erase old versions of movies and just replace them with censored versions, except for those of us that have physical copies. You know, those can't be altered, so there is a whole new importance to that. So yeah, in addition to that censorship, it's just simply the unpredictability when it comes to the availability of these films. Like, when I first started watching Giallo on Amazon Prime, there were so many titles on there. None of them are available anymore. Okay, so now I want to get into like the real meat of this video, and that is the subject of consumerism. I listen to a lot of different philosophies and just like learn about a lot of different lifestyles, I guess you could say, particularly things like minimalism, capitalist and consumerism critiques. So in terms of like consumerism, Nowadays, we are in this age where convenience is at an all-time high and people are spending so much money, but I think they're also kind of giving their independence away. For the sake of convenience, they're giving their independence away. Oftentimes, consumerism is contrasted with intentional living, like as if consumerism and intentional living are opposites. But I think here we have a scenario where buying things, such as in this case DVDs or Blu-rays, etc., buying things is a liberating act, if you will. You're buying it for yourself as opposed to just continually feeding money into an undependable streaming subscription service. You're not depending on that subscription service to access your movies. So you're reclaiming your independence. When you are buying films, when you're building a physical media library, that means you decide what you're going to watch, not them. You can decide when you're going to watch too, regardless of what subscriptions you currently have, what subscriptions you can currently pay for, regardless of your internet connectivity. So even though purchasing physical media obviously is consumerism, although it is consuming art, which is not mindless. Anyway, even though it is consumerism, it at the same time is preserving your ability for intentional living, like your intentional viewing. It's keeping your ability to choose. You can choose when you watch this movie. You can choose to watch your favorite movie anytime because you bought it once. Done. So when I'm talking about intentional viewing, I'm looking at it as a facet of intentional living in general. Intentional living in that you're particular about how you spend your time and your money. You basically you've got the steering wheel of your life. And going back to buying yourself a copy, I feel like the ultimate expression of loving something is bringing it into your physicality. Like that's how it culminates, that's how it ends. I love Strange Advice of Mrs. Ward, so I'm gonna buy Strange Advice of Mrs. Ward, and now I have it. And I can watch it anytime I want. It, for me, and for a lot of us, it's an asset. Both physically and sentimentally. And of course, I've seen some of y'all's collections. There's something so great about just having these things you love on display and surrounding yourself with them and decorating your home, your sanctuary with them. Right? What do you think? I love owning, but streaming does have its value. So I do need to take a moment to shout out streaming because I love streaming. Without streaming, the last 3 years wouldn't have been possible for me. Streaming is what facilitated my exploration into cinema. Nearly all the films that have been first-time watches for me these last few years, nearly all of them have been due to streaming. And yeah, I mentioned money before, but sometimes streaming is the more affordable option as opposed to buying several discs, especially when you're starting out and you're learning and you're in that exploratory stage like I've been. That's where I go first if I'm trying to watch a movie. That's where I go first, just try to find it streaming. Streaming's been invaluable to me because it has allowed me to explore and to try. But if I find something I love, I still need to buy it. It's my ultimate goal to buy my favorites because because no one can ever snatch it out of my hands. So there's my thoughts. By buying physical media, you can kind of retain your freedom and retain your independence from this modern society where there's so much pressure to subscribe and stay subscribed. And that is an endless expense. And I guess I kind of like just having it to myself because that is a one and done expense, you know? I know you guys get it, but that's what's been on my mind lately. By purchasing these things, in a way, you're facilitating your more intentional style of living. Let me know your thoughts below on this. And fun question, what is a title of a film or a show that needs a proper physical media release and hasn't gotten one? Let a hoe know. And with that, me and Sela are gonna sign off. Hope this talk went well. I was a bit distracted by everything going on out here, but thank you for watching.